Happening now, the latest push to legalize recreational marijuana in New York State. Plus, we tell you about the continued efforts to deploy the COVID-19 vaccine here in Jamestown.
Well, the clouds continue to dominate the sky, but there could be some big changes in the way by the end of the month. I'll talk about it next. The News at Noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. New York State's governor is expected to outline a plan that would legalize recreational marijuana across the state today. The Associated Press reporting Governor Andrew Cuomo's proposal calls for the creation of a new Office of Cannabis Management that would oversee recreational use as well as the existing medical use. It would also offer, according to the AP, licensing opportunities for those in communities that have been disproportionately impacted by law enforcement efforts against marijuana to become entrepreneurs in the new recreational market. Cuomo's latest legalization proposal follows two unsuccessful attempts in 2019 and 2020 to fully legalize it, which both fell short despite Democrats' 2018 win of both chambers of the legislature. Now, in 2019, New York softened some criminal penalties for possessing small amounts of marijuana and launched a process to automatically expunge the records of thousands of individuals convicted of low-level possession crimes. But Cuomo's proposal will still need buy-in from Democrats from swing suburban districts who have long cited concerns that legalization would lead to more impaired driving. The party's liberal wing criticized Cuomo's 2020 proposal for failing to set aside money specifically to lift up places that have suffered from mass incarcerations and a legacy of disappointment from drug arrests. Well, happening right now, some allies of President Donald Trump are expected to make one more challenge to the results of the November presidential election today. A joint session of Congress is engaging in a process that happens every 4 years, and this time it promises to be drawn out. Karen Kafa has the latest from Washington for us.
The process that Congress will undertake today is not one that typically gets a lot of fanfare, and it's certainly not one that typically attracts protesters, but it is expected that the process today will be long and messy at times, even if it won't change the outcome of the election.
President Donald Trump and some supporters seeking to upend a typically routine process.
That was a rigged election, but we're still fighting it.
After a November election marked by pandemic precautions and the certification of each state's results, Congress takes the final step on January 6th, a date set by a law passed in 1887. In this case, certifying President-elect Joe Biden's defeat of President Trump 306 to 232 electoral votes.
I don't know why he still wants the job. He doesn't want to do the work.
Despite dozens of failed lawsuits and volumes of baseless allegations, some of President Trump's congressional allies will object to Biden's wins in multiple swing states.
We'll be challenging the legitimacy of the electoral slates of several of the sovereign states.
More than a dozen Republican senators have said they'll buck Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and join House objections. But the Democrats have the House majority. That means the challenges won't succeed.
We know what the results are. So there's not going to be any change in any of that.
In particular focus, Vice President Mike Pence, who will preside over the proceedings. Despite public pressure from President Trump to overturn the results, the Constitution gives Pence limited powers and simple objectives today.
Legally, he opens ballots and he announces the result. Beyond that, he has no authority to do anything.
And President Trump has kept up that pressure on Vice President Pence this morning, tweeting that Pence should show some extreme courage. Now, Pence over the last few days has impressed upon the president that in his ceremonial role today, there is nothing that he can do to overturn the election results. Still, President Trump will speak to a rally of his supporters later on this morning before that joint session gets underway at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Karen, thank you. Yesterday, local Congressman Tom Reed explained his vote and that he plans not to overrule states and their designated electors. A Jamestown man accused of driving while intoxicated is facing charges after allegedly hitting a parked car last night. Jamestown police say 58-year-old Herman Hallwell Jr. hit a parked car in the area of Douglas Place and Linwood Avenue just after 7 o'clock. Police say Hallwell then left the scene. Through investigation, the man was identified as the alleged driver and was believed to have been drunk. Hallwell is charged with DWI per se, leaving the scene of a property damage accident and moving from lane unsafely. Well, testing is replacing tailgating in the Bills Stadium parking lot, with a limited number of fans being allowed to attend Buffalo's wild card playoff game against Indianapolis Colts on Saturday. Now, before that can happen, New York State's guidelines require the approximate 6,700 fans plus another 200 employees and members of the media to first test negative for COVID-19 within 72 hours of kickoff. Each person must show ID and prove a negative test before being allowed in the outdoor facility, which seats about 70,000. The tests will be held today and tomorrow, with a New Jersey-based company converting a portion of the expansive parking lot into a drive-through testing site. Now, tests will be done over 14 hours, both days, featuring 30 lanes to accommodate the number of people showing up, and have the results returning within close to 24 hours. Certainly a huge effort to get fans back for an exciting time for many Buffalo Bills fans. Let us know what you think about that and more in the comments down below. Thanks so much for joining us for WNY News Now. Let's check in with those comments and say hello to Dustin. Good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Good to see Sandy. Good to see Sheila, David, Abby, Amanda, Judy, Kirk as well. Great to see Crystal, Dan, and Rod. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. Well, now let's get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us now from the extended studio set that we've been talking about, Dakota. Supposed to be an in-person interview set, but because of COVID, we don't have people in here anymore to be interviewed for news. So it looks like you've moved in, my friend.
Yes, the weather team has officially taken over this wonderful corner spot here we have in the studio. I mean, this is a really nice setup we have here, and we actually have the weather graphics back behind here. So what you're looking at is the camera coming from Findlay Lake, and you can see some of the snowfall accumulation that has occurred there. 32 is the current temperature in Findlay Lake right now, and we had a little bit of accumulating snow yesterday afternoon and overnight. Gary had a just about 3/4 of an inch of snowfall there. Falconer at 0.3 and Kennedy at 0.2 inches of snow. So again, it was basically a dusting of snow. It's the who cares kind of snow. And again, we told you about that yesterday, how any snowfall accumulation was going to be minor. Satellite and radar composite basically just shows you those clouds continuing to be socked in across the southern tier. Then we've had a few little light snow showers popping up across the southern tier, especially near Jamestown. They're not showing up on the radar because they're likely falling underneath the radar beam, which is often is the case. The radar beam is about several thousand feet off the ground down here. So sometimes the snow can fall underneath it. 33 was the high yesterday. We started the day at 28. 60 is the record high for this date, set back in 1998, and 9 below zero on this date in 1976 broke the record low for this date. So through the afternoon, mostly cloudy, scattered light snow showers, maybe a few patches of drizzle, definitely possible. Any snowfall accumulation less than an inch. High temperatures today, 28 on the hills, 35 near the immediate Lake Erie shoreline with a northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now we do see some peaks of sun likely coming up later in the week, but a big pattern change could be on the way by the end of the month. We'll tell you about it in a few. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you. Well, the number of active COVID-19 cases in Chautauqua County rose as the health department reported 102 new cases of the virus yesterday. In an update to the COVID-19 dashboard, health officials reported 680 active cases, with 185 of them in the greater Jamestown area. The number of those hospitalized increased by 1, now to 51. The 7-day average percent positivity rate is up from 10.8% to now 11%. Now, since the pandemic began, over 4,000 cases have recovered, with more than 3,000 recovering and 36 reported deaths. Well, local health departments have started receiving COVID vaccines for healthcare workers across New York State. Governor Andrew Cuomo says statewide more than 3,500 sites have been identified for vaccine distribution, but currently only around 636 sites are active. He says as of yesterday, 900,000 vaccines have been distributed for 2.1 million healthcare workers. Hospitals that do not distribute their doses by the end of the week could get fined.
They are distributing vaccine to the healthcare workers along with the hospitals. So healthcare workers can either go to the hospitals that we've been discussing, or they can go to 600 sites that are across the state.
Now, meanwhile, some local health departments across the state say more communication and partnership with localities is key to building out the infrastructure to get things done quicker. An aide from the governor's office says the state is working on a public dashboard for vaccine data. He also says the goal is to have all nursing home residents receive their first dose of the vaccine within the next 2 weeks. Well, straight ahead here, still so much to tell you about. When can you expect to get your $600 stimulus payment? We tell you next. But first, we tell you about 2 kayakers who have been rescued from Cattaraugus Creek. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Want weather now? Download the WNY News Now mobile app and stay up to date on severe weather alerts. Plus, anytime hazardous weather strikes, stick with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network that keeps you safe. You're all in a tornado warning, so now is the time to go to a safe place, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. What are you waiting for? Download the WNY News Now mobile app today. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. 2 kayakers were rescued after they were stranded on the Cattaraugus Creek last weekend. New York State's DEC forest rangers, along with other local first responders, were dispatched Saturday at 11 a.m. after one of the 2 kayakers flipped into the water. The second kayaker then attempted to rescue the first before losing his own. One of the kayakers safely made it back to land on the Erie County side of the creek and was able to get out of the area. The other man made it to land on the Cattaraugus County side, but due to terrain needed rescue. That's when forest rangers stepped in, with one of the officers rappelling down the hill, rescuing the kayaker by harnessing them and pulling them out of the area. The Gowanda Fire Department and ambulance company also responded to the scene. However, no one required medical assistance. Well, New York drivers who can't afford to pay the entirety of a traffic fine will be able to do so via installments and will no longer face the risks of their licenses being suspended for that debt, thanks to new legislation signed into law. The Driver's License Suspension Reform Act ends the practice of suspending the licenses of people who aren't able to pay their fines in full, and will allow people to currently have suspended license because of traffic debt to get them back. Lawmakers who supported the bill say it was a huge win that decriminalizes poverty and will help give hope and opportunities to drivers across New York State. Well, the second round of stimulus payments are on the way. So when will eligible individuals and families get their money? Mandy Gaither explains in today's Consumer Watch.
The motion to concur is agreed to.
In a sweeping pandemic aid bill passed just before Christmas, Congress approved $600 stimulus payments for each eligible person. The first of those payments started going out on December 29th. You may have seen it pending in your account, but the funds officially became available Monday. The payments will continue to be sent through January 15th. But anyone eligible who isn't automatically sent the money by then will have to claim it on their 2020 tax return, according to the IRS. Paper checks or debit cards will be sent to those who don't already have a bank account on file with the IRS. Checks also began going out last week. People can check the status of both their first and second stimulus payments by using the Internal Revenue Service's Get My Payment Online tool. Some people may not receive the money the same way as in the first round. If you were sent a preloaded debit card last year, the payment will not be added to that card. You'll either receive a new card in the mail or a paper check. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Mandy, thank you. Now, eligibility is largely based on income. Those earning less than $75,000 a year will get the full $600. The full payment will also go to heads of households earning less than $112,500 and married couples filing jointly earning less than $150,000 a year. They'll receive $600 per child under the age of 17. Well, the Mega Millions lottery jackpot just climbed to nearly $500 million. Nobody won the jackpot in yesterday's drawing, pushing the prize from $447 million to an estimated $409 million. The cash payout is now $372.3 million. It could be the 8th largest jackpot in Mega Million history, and it's up for grabs in Friday's drawing. Now, despite the jackpot rolling over, there were some other notable wins. 4 tickets won the game's second prize of at least $1 million. Those tickets were sold in California, Minnesota, New York, New Jersey. Other players won smaller amounts with a total of 1.9 million winning tickets at all prize levels. Certainly good luck. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now today. Let's check in with the comments and say hello to Tammy. Good to see Steve, Jeremy, and David. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments section down below. Well, now let's get a check of our First Defense weather with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Dakota, a lot of people, I've never had really good luck with the lottery. And this is kind of a funny story from over Christmas. My grandfather's a big lottery guy, and a good gift is lottery tickets. Well, I got him tickets, and I went to like a small retailer here in Jamestown. Yeah. I thought, I'll try to buy it from a locally owned place, unlike like a 7-Eleven or something.
Right, right.
So went to a locally owned convenience store, got some tickets, great experience. Met some old ladies who I think were spending their retirement. They'd get them and scratch them. It was hilarious. And he didn't win a lick of anything. And he said sometimes it boils down to the person who buys it.
Yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, I've said before, I have some of the worst luck out of anybody in the world. So that's part of the reason why I don't play the lottery, because I would just be wasting my entire paycheck on, Powerball numbers and the Mega Millions and scratch offs. I just don't play the lottery. Now, I do on occasion, I'll get a scratch off for Christmas or for my birthday or something, and that's fine. But I don't buy any myself personally because it's going to be a total waste of money because I don't win anything.
Yeah. Well, hey, I guess if you got the money, give it a shot. If you don't, I wouldn't bet your whole paycheck on it. That's my advice. At that point, I think you take it too far.
Right.
Some people do.
And there are some people who do that.
Yeah.
Who just gamble the whole paycheck away. Right. And that's when you have a problem, and that's when you need to seek help.
And there's groups out there to help you. Even amid COVID, you can still get some help. Well, let's switch gears here and get a check of that forecast, Dakota. And this week, we've been kind of openly talking about it. It's like that boring kind of weather, but as you mentioned, it's sort of to our success here.
Yes, it is. And I mean, it's boring, but hey, our boredom is your gain. Get out and enjoy the clouds if you can. But hey, let's take a look at the Bills forecast here. The AFC wildcard, Bills versus Colts. today. This is going to be on Saturday, and the Bills versus Colts here. The kickoff is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 28 degrees by the time at kickoff at 1:05, 29 at halftime, and also 29 by the fourth quarter. But notice the sun icon. Yes, the sun should be coming back, especially on Saturday. So we should see some, at least mostly to partly sunny skies throughout the area on Saturday. Now, as we take a look at this, we do turn a bit colder here, especially over the weekend. On Thursday, we're down to 29, Friday 30, and then by the time we head into Saturday, our forecast high here in Jamestown will be 27 and a 28 by the time we head into Saturday or Sunday. But this isn't Arctic style cold. This is typical style cold like we see around here very often. 29 as a noon hour right now. We have a northwest wind to 8, so the wind chill is down to 21 degrees, and this is actually down a little bit. We were hovering around 30, 31. This is down as of noon hour, and we do have a little bit of a light snow shower at the airport being reported there. But you can see on the satellite and radar composite, notice all the clouds coming in from the northwest. That is our wind component that we have across the Great Lakes right now. So the clouds are going to be hard to clear out when we have a north to northwest wind. Even though high pressure builds in tomorrow, the clouds are not really going to go anywhere. And this actually is a cold front out here. This actually should miss us and should scoot actually to our south. So no big weather hassles there. Now, talking about something we hinted about earlier, a big change could be happening by the end of the month. This is not guaranteed, but it's something that is being hinted on the long-range computer models. A big upper trough is going to be digging in. So all these blue arrows is the jet stream. Notice when it digs like that, that's called a trough. It's bringing in cooler air from Canada, and we could be dealing with Arctic air. Our first real punch of Arctic air could be coming by the end of the month. It's too early to throw out numbers and say how cold we could be, but keep an eye on this by the end of the month. We could be seeing a big pattern change. And I know you're on the phone right there like Jerry Stiller, and you want to call the weather office and be like, "Oh, Dakota and Andrew, what's the matter with you guys? Give us the sun." I mean, look at this. We've only had 4 days since December 1st where we've seen the sun. The clouds have really dominated throughout much of this winter, but as I told you on Saturday, the sun will be coming back. So the zone forecast, the inland areas today, yeah, you should be hovering right around the lower 30s. I think the better chance for the upper 20s will be especially in the hills and the valley locations with a few flakes, but temperatures overall seasonable. The next 7 days of your life right here on the screen, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny, 29 on Thursday, 30 by the time we head into Friday there, and at least we should see some sun. Finally, the sun returns on Saturday, 27, 28 Sunday, and the clouds return and should take us all the way through the end of the week here, and going into early next week, we'll be back into the lower 30s. We will take a break and be right back. First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smokin' deals on smokin' accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
Slow down. Slow down and move over. Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights. Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down. Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
to help you.
to save you.
Despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real. Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Not tomorrow, but right now on the WNY News Now mobile app. Follow local news as it happens.
The mother of a special education student at Maple Grove High School is speaking out.
And stay informed with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network.
And Lake Erie is covered in less than 1% of ice as this winter season has entered its peak.
Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
Well, get this, car buying in the U.S. is revving up once again. That's according to General Motors, which released its fourth quarter sales for 2020. GM is the country's largest automaker and is typically a bellwether for the industry trends. Other car makers will release their fourth quarter sales figures later today and tomorrow, but they are also expected to report improvements. Buyers deserted the showrooms at the beginning of the pandemic last spring. GM says its consumer sales have now returned to pre-pandemic levels. The pace of recovery is a surprise for many experts, which did not forecast such a quick comeback. Well, Starbucks announced a new winter menu, and it includes a pistachio latte and honey almond milk cold brew. The latte includes a sauce made with real pistachios and a salted brown buttery topping. It's available hot or iced, or even blended. Now on the treats, they're introducing a new Earth Cake Pop and a red velvet loaf. The Earth Cake Pop is dipped in blue icing and covered in green and white sprinkles, so it resembles the Earth. It's also adding some other items to its permanent menu, the honey almond milk flat white and kale and portobello mushroom egg bites. Well, we probably couldn't go a day without it, but today you have permission to thank your technology on National Technology Day. So whether you can't go without your smartphone for more than 2 minutes, or your home just wouldn't be a home without a virtual assistant, or maybe you're eyeing the future with autonomous cars, technology is really all around us and changing pretty much every second. So as 2021 begins and we look towards new inventions and advancements, remember how all those days items made life just a little bit easier and could connect people more. Try to imagine what you wouldn't be able to do without the tech in the next decade. Well, Dakota, we certainly wouldn't be here. I wish we had an autonomous news production. That would be nice. Yeah. But you know, robots all over the place. Yeah, right, exactly.
That are smarter than you.
Our computers are pretty smart, but they still need a little bit of human interaction. I think that's really what makes technology so great, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The human touch to it.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, and you know, we even use technology in weather. I mean, you know, one of the things we use, and it's no secret, most forecasters use computer models. These are dynamic models that are run by the National Centers for Environmental Prediction in Washington. And these models... Yeah, I know. Peg the geek meter. Right. But, you know, these models... And he blew
it up. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you just took that right off the tongue. I'm impressed.
Yeah, well, you know, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take my award, and thank you for the little people who made this possible. No, but seriously, though, I mean, you know, the computer models have really helped us in forecasting, because it used to be before models, it was a complicated process to forecast. And now the models, it aids us, and the models are not 100% perfect. I mean, you know, they have their quirks and they're not always right. But that is where the human interaction side comes in, because, you know, especially Andrew and I here in the Weather Center, we look at the models and we go, okay, this model might be doing better on this model not so much. And we look at the models and we come up with our forecast based on a collection of models based on what we think is the best idea.
Yeah, you guys do an excellent job over there. And I think when you look at technology today, we don't know what the future will hold. But it almost seems like, especially during the pandemic, more and more people now are open to technology in their lives, whether it be online menus, which we've had for the last decade or so. But now you see that more and more now, where restaurants will go to that, or you can buy products online that are locally. And I think that's what's really important, is that we still, even with technology, it's not all about Amazon. And that's hard for me to think about too, because I love Amazon. I mean, we mentioned I got a Ring video doorbell for Christmas. I love that thing. But I'm not glued to it all the time, just most of the time.
He only wants to make sure that you see, Justin got the Ring camera, so in that way he can spy on his neighbors and see what they're doing.
Oh, God. He's going to get me in trouble. Don't get me in trouble, please.
Justin's got those binoculars.
Watch the show. I just like to know what's going on. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like
so if you're one of Justin's neighbors, keep your blinds closed.
Oh, God. You know what's ironic? Speaking of technology, the computer behind you, what is happening? Do you see? I don't think he sees it. What is going on?
Yeah, it's the computer back here. This actually, computer back here runs our chat with the National Weather Service.
You can't chat with them.
Yeah, what's going on right now is this computer has been having a little hiccup over the past few weeks. It keeps wanting to update. And I keep telling it no. So,
I hate updates.
So I have to go in there and figure out what's going on, because that's part of my job is, you know, the
Figuring
flow
it
of the
out.
computers in here. So
Dakota's
that'll probably be my project.
You're a computer fiddle player.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it for us today.
Charlie Daniels.
Gosh, that's good.
Reincarnated. Alabama, give me a call.
We're back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.